Allegedly, Bear, you go there, and my tea goes here, because I'm going to need it for this one. Hi everyone. Yo, when I tell you that you're gonna need your tea for this one, I genuinely mean it, because we know that Jeffree and Shane are now fuming. Like, mega, hold on. Fuming. I have my green tea because recently we're all about hydration on this channel. Why do I keep doing this? And the reason I'm saying that Jeffree and Shane are fuming right now is if you think about the scandal that happened with Dramageddon 2 whenever they were trying to take down James's empire, James Charles was like here and Jeffree Star was like here in subscriber numbers, and Shane Dawson was like on top of that even more. Like, Shane Dawson was the self-proclaimed king of YouTube. Okay, let's get past that joke. And the entire aim of that was to take down James so that he wouldn't be that most subscribed beauty guru, which is funny because wouldn't Shane technically be the most subscribed beauty guru because he's a self-proclaimed beauty guru, but then he's a self-proclaimed leaving beauty guru? What's the narrative today, Miss Shane? And the more time that passes from the drama that happened last year, the more people are thinking that it was kind of like a tactical move from Jeffree, Shane, and Taddy. We've said this before where them two like manipulated Taddy into doing that Bye Sister video. Shane even said that he would edit the video and edit the thumbnail. Taddy said that, so that kind of shows how much involvement they really had in this. And it's for their own gain, because if you think about it, like I said before, they're all reviewing the same makeup. They're talking about the same shite. They need to make themselves stand out a bit. You know what I mean? And most of these people don't even have proper personalities, so it's like... And the battle of subscribers and being at the top was normally from Jeffree and James because they were the beauty gurus and they were doing the same sort of thing, so it wasn't that much Shane being involved because Shane made his documentaries, you know, his vlogs. Let's call it how it is. Long, unedited vlogs. Heard it here. So Shane really wasn't on our radar for thinking that he wanted to surpass, you know, James and keep being #1. But whenever we realized his involvement in the scandal was actually very large and he was just doing everything behind the scenes, that's whenever we realized that he actually did care about his numbers as well. As anyone on this platform would, but he cared about them because he wanted to be better than James, which is what Jeffree wanted to do, which is why, in my opinion, I believe that they were such good friends together, and still are, you know, the way they're family, because all they care about is taking down this kid. I need to stop calling James a kid, because permanently I just have him, like, as 19 years old in my head from when he did the No More Lies video, you know what I mean? But he's like 21 now, but still, so much younger than Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star. And Taddy Westbrook. And if you're not convinced even more that Shane wanted to be on top of James in terms of the subscribers, Shane actually supposedly, I'm gonna press this button, took the concept of making a documentary, making makeup, from James Charles. Now, this was a big drama that happened, and I never really talked about this on my channel, but yes, it was alleged and it was talked about and thrown around that the actual first concept of making that was from James Charles, where he wanted to document making makeup and then that would be a full thing and it would drive more sales. And here's my thing, I don't agree with these documentary, you know, fucking vlogs where they're making makeup and they're talking about the process and woo, you're involved, you're my BFF, like you need to buy this, woo, oh my god, you were making it, your hands crafted this, all this bullshit that all of these pre-teens believe, and this is coming from a 17-year-old, they all believe that they're literally part of the process because they watched a fucking video. Y'all are fucking clowns. Literally, the amount of people who, even looking back, will be like, yeah, but I felt involved in the process, so I had to get the palette. Bitch! I watched the videos. I watched those vlogs. I watched those documentary. You want to call it documentary? Fine. I watched those documentary episodes, and nothing in me ever wanted to buy the conspiracy palette or any of the things they put up for sale. Just because it was ugly, but also, on top of that, I never felt involved in it because I knew what they were doing, and I even made a video on my channel where I literally said I did not like what they were doing because it was just manipulating their audience into buying the palette because they feel like they're involved. Fuck, Jesus Christ, woo! So many people have started agreeing with that narrative now where it's like, oh yeah, this was just tactical. On top of trying to make more sales because people feel involved with the process, the entire documentary that he did making the palette, but also the one about Jeffree Star's life, was basically making Jeffree's reputation better, hyping up the fact that they knew Shane was going to do a collab with him, therefore Shane would make more money because more people then liked Jeffree because he's a changed person and Shane made a docu-series on his life and why he's fucking the way he is, and everyone was like, oh, we feel bad for him, bad person, sad person, aw, he's a good person, you know that 3-step? I feel like they were putting on their contour these viewers who fucking went through this 3-stage. Bad person, sad person, good person, you know what I mean? It doesn't work that way, but but this was the way the narrative was proposed to us in the Shane docuseries, so that Jeffree was liked again, so whenever Shane did the palette, more sales. Now, it was literally, I think, the biggest e-commerce makeup release ever, which is a big deal. But of course it was going to be, because everyone was involved with this process, and people really did feel like they were literally part of the fucking experience. I'm gonna tell you now, I'm so sorry, baby cakes, but you were not involved in that process whatsoever. You just gave these, like, men your money, and they're like, haha, that bitch believes she's involved in the process. It's a little boo-boo the full moment, isn't it? Cheers. But I have to say, that move was so smart, because it did get so many more sales, but the initial concept allegedly just came from James Charles. So that was another James Charles idea, and we say this on my channel all the time. James Charles is so smart. James Charles knows what he's doing. James Charles is a businessman. He knows how to run YouTube. He knows how to run sales, his merchandise, everything. So it came no shock to me ever that it was actually James Charles that came up with this really fucking smart idea to kind of manipulate people into thinking they're part of the process, then buying the palette. But anyway, that long-winded story was basically just my way of saying that Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star wanted to take away James's clout and then become on top of him in the makeup world. And the reason for this, where it was the three of them, the two of them wanting to get above James, was because in 2019 especially, there were a bunch of videos and live streams that were showing the top channels in the beauty world, and Shane Dawson was now involved in that, so it would be number 1 Shane Dawson, number 2 Jeffree Star, and number 3 James Charles. But James Charles was getting way too close for comfort to Jeffree Star. And one thing that's very important to note as well is in the series that Jeffree and Shane did, I will get to the main part, sorry, there's so much to say. I haven't talked in like 12 hours, woo! So much to say. One thing I am going to talk about more in the future, but in the Jeffree Star series, him and Shane call up Morphe and they're like, hey, we want to release our palette around this date. And they're like, oh, this might conflict because James Charles has the 1-year anniversary of his palette and we're going to be doing a big release for that. And they were like, okay, that's not going to be a problem, which is funny looking back now because you knew that they were just going to do that scandal on James around that time, so that 1-year anniversary really wasn't going to mean anything and the conspiracy palette would take all the fame. These people are calculated. Come a little closer, baby cakes. These people know what they're doing. They know how to manipulate you. I am so sorry. They're not your friends. They want your money. Especially, like, you can say this about YouTubers, right? Because there's a parasocial, like, fucking friendship here, right? But whenever they're literally, like, straight up at, not even, like, merch. You know what I mean? Like, not even, like, fucking, like, none of this bullshit, right? This is, like, getting you involved in that process, so it manipulates you into thinking you were fucking a part of it. Bitch, I didn't fucking take you to the warehouse and make this with you. You're not involved in this process. Bitch, I'm not even involved in this process. In terms of the manufacturing of it. But they literally made you feel like you were involved in the manufacturing of this because they brought you to the lab and stuff. It was so strategic. Anyway, now that we have that context, woo! Jesus Christ, that was a lot. 1 year later, after the scandal, of course, Shane Dawson has been steadily losing subscribers and James Charles has been steadily gaining subscribers. James Charles is at his ultimate peak right now, and I'm assuming it's just going to continue going up because he's being very smart, he's, you know, containing himself, and he's just making good content, for the most part. Shane Dawson, on the other hand, as I said, is just steadily losing subscribers, losing views, demonetized channel, like, I'm sure it'll be remonetized soon whenever he comes back. But with James constantly gaining and Shane losing, James Charles has now officially surpassed the proclaimed king of YouTube, Shane Dawson. He's actually said that before. He has actually called himself the queen of YouTube and the king of YouTube. James Charles has surpassed that. That is actually fucking... Wow. Good on James. Whatever your opinion on James Charles is, it's just interesting to note the fact that these two older men were literally preying on the demise of him, and after all, a year later, while he can just go on with his life and make his videos, Shane is gone, Jeffree is receiving much more backlash than he's ever done, scandal, you know, just in any other literally, no. His latest release flopped, and they're really just wreaking the disappointment of their own behavior. While James, who received the backlash at the start and then kind of just like, you know, got the public praise again, he's not even just like back to where he was. He's way past that. Like, way. past that. That is some... He ate them up. He ate them up. Good on him. Good on him. And that was fucking resilience. From the way his numbers, James Charles, were being projected whenever he was losing subscribers, he was actually predicted to lose in total around 10 million subscribers total. Because he lost 3 million in the first day, and people predicted if he didn't make his No More Lies video, that he would have lost at least 10 million subscribers. Which would have meant that he would have been under, like... Yeah, and look at him now. So he's at 21.6 million subscribers at the time of filming this video, and Shane Dawson is at 21.5. And also, interesting to note, is Shane Dawson has 652 videos, and that's on one of his channels. He has a number of other channels, which have hundreds of videos as well, that he recently took down because of backlash. You know, he was still making money off them up until recently, until he was actually called out for it, and then he deleted them, but up until then, he was fine having them up, making money from them. Okay. Meanwhile, James Charles only has 296 videos. So that goes to show as well that... Just, you know what I mean? Good on James. Shane has like way more of the videos, doing this way longer, and James was affected by Shane, and yet at the end of the day is up again. That's some bitch ass energy. Fuck. And what's very interesting as well is James got his Insta Influencer show, and I believe, genuinely believe, that if James Charles was to do a Making a Palette like Shane and Jeffrey did, that docuseries that was originally his idea, allegedly, I feel like it would be even bigger. I feel like it would be even bigger. Nowadays, it would be bigger. Because the difference with James Charles and the difference with Jeffrey and Shane is there's a lot of baggage with Jeffrey and Shane, but with James, not so much. I genuinely feel like it would be a great idea, and I feel like it's something that will happen. I don't agree with the idea, but from a business perspective, it's fucking phenomenal. It's a great idea. And whether it was actually James that came up with this idea, or it was Jeffrey, or it was Shane, whoever it was, whether it was fucking Taddy, brilliant idea. Like, you have to credit them because that is fucking brilliant. They literally manipulated millions into buying, like, a really shitty palette. I have to give them credit for that. I don't agree with it. Okay, so I asked my subscribers for their opinion, and you gotta stick around for this, because we were having, like, an open conversation about Shane and his title on YouTube. I said, James has officially overtaken the self-proclaimed king of YouTube opinions. Autumn said, whoever really thinks Shane is the king of YouTube hasn't seen this small channel run by none other than PewDiePie. King of YouTube is Felix. M. Hate said he is soon gonna surpass the sub count that Shane had at his peak, and I'm telling you, at the time of filming this, he's almost gonna be there. There's something to be said about that. And you know Shane and Jeffrey are like, what now? Taddy, quick, make Bye Sister Part 2. Mango Tango said he may replace Shane, but he will never be able to replace the hole in our heart known as Jenna Marbles. Why'd you have to bring it up? Did you want me to fucking cry? Mango Tango? Mia said, I mean, Shane is not the king of YouTube, LMAO. It's always been PewDiePie. That's not gonna change after some hour-long vlogs. I love how we're all just coming to the conclusion now that they were really just vlogs, and we were manipulated into thinking they were fucking documentaries. Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. It's just looking back on it, you have such a new perspective, right? Ugh. Oof. Diane said, you can't surpass the king of YouTube if the king of YouTube was never a king. Ariel said, Shane was never the king of YouTube, and neither is James. Period. Tiffany said, I don't like James a lot, but this does put a smile on my face. I feel like everyone's just celebrating the fact that he was, like, put down and now he's way more than what he was. Kayla said, I mean, good he passed Shane, but Pewds is the true king here. If he passes him, I'll be scared. And here's the thing, PewDiePie and James Charles are actually really good friends, and PewDiePie helped him get out of that scandal. A lot. Bork Pom Pom said, I really don't like James, especially due to the recent partying and Alicia Keys' Lauren Conrad controversies. That's where my current lying on James Charles is, I'm gonna be honest too. But I feel like he deserves to be very proud of this. Leah said, Shane Dawson's more like the creepy uncle of YouTube. Leah, if you don't stop. Leah said it, not me. Madeline said, I think Shane should lose more subscribers if I'm being honest. Only problematic people who are endorsing his behavior will be subscribed to him. Say it louder. Kiana said, I feel like Shane will back down from YouTube anyways. I feel like it's kind of the same situation with Jenna. She was wanting to leave YouTube for a while and we could all tell. I don't know what Shane's gonna do next because considering his past, I'm not sure how well respected he would be in the film industry. You know, the way he wants to make his horror movie? But we'll see. see. As for James, congratulations to him. He works so hard and he deserves it. Hannah said, and Shane has that many subs still because of why? Loser Sweep said, honestly, I think James deserves this after all the shit that Shane, Jeffrey, and Taddy put him through. Rainbow Jelly said until he passes PewDiePie, he isn't the king. Kira said James definitely deserves it. As for Shane, I don't know about him being able to just jump back into YouTube. Lana said good for him. It's nice to see how well James has bounced back from everything, and it happened really quickly as well. Really quickly. Within a year, he's almost doubled his numbers. I think he actually has. Legend. Shit. I hope Mr. Jellyfish is super jelly of him right now. Maggie said, I don't like James, but heck yeah, he deserves it more than Shane Dawson, that's for sure. Hawking said, OMG, I didn't even notice. Well, I guess that means this is the start of a new era and the old YouTubers are dying out, but congrats to James, he really deserves it. Madison said, the fact that James has less watch time judging by the amount of videos and has already surpassed and will most likely continue to is crazy. Good for him, I guess. Jeremiah said, I feel like he's earned it. I just hope he doesn't gain any more of an ego and knows how to keep it together. I feel like that'll be very much to the people he surrounds himself with, so we'll see. FG said, this is your slice of humble pie, Shane. Enjoy. GB said, boo-hoo, let me play him a song on the world's smallest violin. What was that? Why did I do that? I could have just read your comment and moved on. Okay guys, so how are we feeling about this? I feel like this is quite telling of the audience as well, and how the perception of both of these people, actually all four of these people, because Taddy as well is, you know, being affected by this. It's showing who the public sided with and how that kind of perception changed over time. And it's interesting that people were kind of forgiving in other parts and then not forget. You know what I mean? It's interesting. I could literally write a fucking essay on this entire Dramageddon 2 situation because it never ends. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's the drama that just keeps on giving. But the thing is, James can sit back and not have to talk about it or engage with it, and it will just keep coming up because of the other people who are involved are just constantly being messy, you know what I mean? Even if they're not planning, well, I mean, they probably are. Let's be real. Okay. Okay. Tell me how you're feeling. What do you think about James surpassing Shane while having way less watch time minutes, way less views, way less videos, and in a shorter period of time after Shane and Jeffrey and Taddy tried to bring him down? I think it's quite telling, right? I love you, and I will see you in my next video, and thank you so much for spending the day with me and just sitting and talking, or maybe you're watching this at night, maybe like 3 AM and you're just binge watching YouTube. Hey, I see you, and you're valid. I hope you have a really good time, and I see you in my next one. Nothing really more to say, honestly. Bye.